Eureka Forsyth here, and today I will be talking about all the books that I read in the months February and March. How is everybody today? I am doing pretty good. A little bit tired, but I have my trusty jasmine tea here to hopefully perk me up a bit and wake me up. Okay, without further ado, let us begin. I have a lot of books to talk about, so let's get started. Okay, so the first book that, let me reorientate. Okay, good. Also, I need to find my notes. Oh, jeez. Alright, here we go. Okay, I read this as an ebook. Strange Weather. Wait, actually I forgot the author's name. Give me a few seconds. Oh boy. Okay. Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. Translated by Allison Markin Powell. So these are the notes that I wrote down for this book. A weirdly cold clinical tone to a book that is essentially a slice of life plot. There were some odd, perverted moments with the teacher that felt gross and icky. If you read the book, you'll know which parts. Ends in a very melancholy, unsatisfying way. Best parts was when they did their bar crawls. Anytime food or drinks is mentioned, oops, I forgot something. Best parts were when they did their daily bar crawls. Anytime food or drinks are mentioned, it always sounds so appetizing and makes me feel hungry. And would have preferred the main character, what's her name again? Tsukiko? Yes. Would have preferred Tsukiko to have gotten together with her former classmate despite their different preferences. I think the thing that I would like the most about this book positively is definitely when they were doing the bar crawls, like I said before. Always food, anytime a book has like food or drinks written in it, I like that a lot in books. And I really enjoyed the way the food and drinks were described. It made me feel really hungry, and it made me want to pick up something like small to eat. So that was nice. I picked up this book initially because I thought the premise was very interesting, but the title makes almost no sense. I guess this is sort of like minor spoilery, because I picked it up thinking there was going to be some like magical realism happening within the book, but there was only like one moment where it happened, and then it never happens again. And the cover here is also incredibly misleading too, because there's, I guess if you're nitpicky, this is sort of a spoiler as well, but there is never a point where Tsukiko ever like floats within like a bar or whatever. Maybe I'm being overly critical. Maybe it's supposed to evoke the feeling that you get when you read this book, but I feel like that is probably not the case. So it's strange. it is strange because there was only one moment of strange weather in Tokyo in this book, and it just gets brushed off and never mentioned again. Maybe it was done on purpose, but I don't know. If this was the title, I feel like there should be more moments where strange or odd things are happening within the story, but no. It's pretty much mostly grounded in reality story. Oh, well, there was a very strange, trippy almost, like dream sequence that happens near the end of the book. I won't get into too much detail about that because that would probably actually be spoilers. So I guess there were 2 moments, but other than that, it's, yeah. I mean, it is a pretty short book. It's only 192 pages, but I don't know. I feel like if you have a title like this, and especially if you have a cover that looks like this, you would think there would be some sort of like magic or fabulism getting involved more in the plot, but no. But yeah, I gave this book a solid 3 stars. I was pretty disappointed by it. I was expecting a lot. I was expecting a more endearing relationship between Tsukiko and the teacher involved, but then it kind of just soured when that really weird, like, needlessly perverted part in the story happens between her and the teacher. Granted, Tsukiko is already 38. How? 30 years? Okay, so 30 plus 30. 60? Her teacher, like her former high school teacher. So he's 60 something years old. I mean, yeah, it was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting with this book. I'm not even really a big fan of like big age gaps anyways. I just thought it was going to be something sweet. If it was going sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. If it was going to be either going down towards the road of platonic or even romantic, but yeah, it just kind of turned out to be gross in the end, unfortunately. But yeah, that is basically my thoughts for this book. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, sadly. So let's move on to the next. Whoops! Oh my gosh. Nope, we're not talking about that book yet. Let us move on to Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I listened to the audiobook, so I chose the this interesting piece of art that was used for the illustration that was used for the audiobook graphic. And the narrator is Jenny Sterlin. Okay, I don't think I have all the notes for this because the section for Howl's Moving Castle is a little bit short. I think I remember mostly what my thoughts were for this book, but let me just look through my notes quickly. Okay, well, I will just go off of what I've written so far, and if I have any more to say, I'll just wing it. Okay, so what I put down was some plot points were different from the animated movie, of course. Not much emphasis on Hal and Sophie's relationship. Also, I lost my spot. Okay, here we go. Also felt rushed the their relationship by the end of the book. I didn't even know this book was part of a trilogy. I thought this was a standalone, but this is this book is part of a trilogy. So there's House Moving Castle is the first book, and then the sequel is Castle in the Air, and then the third book is, whoa, my ring alert, excuse me. Where was I? The last book, the third and last book is called House of Many Ways. I will probably not be continuing with the series because I was looking through some reviews in the first book and also within the sequels, and there are some ways that the author tackles some I think specifically oh my gosh, let me think for a second, sorry. I don't remember if it's Mina or Swana, so MENA or Swana, SWANA. But people who belong within that identity, I don't like the way that it seems that they were portrayed. They seem to be the subject of the second book, I think, and yeah, there's some pretty outdated and problematic elements to that book, and also stuff within the third sequel as well. So I'm just not going to continue. I think the first book is enough for me. But anyways, continuing on, the vibes were whimsical, humorous, and fairy tale like. Also pretty witty and funny at times too, which I wasn't really expecting. But I did read one book by this author, and I didn't realize this was also the same author of House Moving Castle. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Let me see what the name of that book is actually. Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. It's a standalone called Enchanted Glass. It was alright. I remember having a pretty mediocre reaction once I finished that book. And the last thing I wrote was I definitely prefer the movie over the book, weirdly enough. I usually prefer the book from their subsequent movie adaptations, but I definitely enjoy the movie much better. I feel like it encapsulates the vibe, maybe not as accurately as the source material, but I think the vibes are much more there for the movie. Also, it was crazy to find out that Sophie does not have brown hair. She actually originally has red hair, and I'm just like, that's so interesting that they decided to change that for the animated movie. I think it makes sense because it was to emphasize how plain Sophie views herself in the beginning of the movie. and then like her growth, her eventual growth into becoming more confident in herself is more apparent. So I guess that as a visual thematic sense makes sense. Yes. Also, Hal is like so much more obnoxious in the book. He is definitely not as charming as he is portrayed in the movie. I mean, he's still pretty immature and whatnot, but it's definitely much more apparent in the book. So that was kind of funny to read as well. He acted more like a man-child than the charming, handsome guy that he is in the movie. What else? Well, I don't know where the other notes I have. I guess I lost them. That's fine though. There's more emphasis on family relationships. The family dynamics are also different from the movie as well. There's more, you get to know more about Sophie's mother and sisters, especially the sisters, which was pretty nice to read about. That was pretty cool. I understand why they cut out the sections detailing like her relationship with her family, but it would have been kind of nice to see that put into the film. But I understand like time constraints and budget and stuff. Yeah, there's also like going on with some of the things with like I think the Witch of the Waste was her title. There was some different things there, so there was a lot of differences that actually happened between the source material, the book, and the animated movie. It has a more like cottagecore, romantic. There's still like whimsy, the whimsical like fairy tale, magical vibe is kind of transfers. I guess it feels a little bit different between the book and the movie actually, but like the initial like setup is like still kind of there. And let's see what else. I'm trying to remember what I thought. I liked following Sophie. She was sort of similar and sort of not. Back again with the difference thing. But yeah, I liked it. It's a when was this published actually? Feels like it was 1986. Holy moly. Yeah, there's like some like old fashioned, I suppose, like a little bit outdated like views on like where you stand for like gender norms a little bit within the book. But it's kind of interesting because Hal kind of breaks the mold of him being like it's apparent that he's like a bit of an more of an odd fellow in the book, and he's like very what's the word, eccentric. He's like an eccentric kind of guy, and he seems to, what is it, how do I say this in a more coherent way? He kind of presents himself in like a dandy, like a dandy from like old fantasy books, and but then he like the way he like very much cares about his appearance, it kind of gives off a bit of a effeminate sort of quality to him. He likes not that there's any, of course there's nothing wrong with men who enjoy wearing fashion or care about taking care of themselves, but it's a little bit, it's definitely presented in a way where it's not unusual, that's not the word, he's like different, like he enjoys grooming himself, and he cares a lot about his appearance, and making sure he looks presentable and fashionable and all of that, which I thought was really interesting. So he kind of breaks the mold, I suppose, probably during the time period of which the book was originally published, so mid 80s. So he definitely breaks the mold of being different when it comes to, he would be like the secondary main character to Sophie, because Sophie is definitely the main character, but he is more of like a secondary main character, and also love interest to Sophie, although that I said earlier, the nature of their romantic relationship isn't unfortunately shown too much. There's like sprinklings of it here and there, but most of it is just them like bantering and arguing with each other and kind of just being pretty rude to each other as well. It was kind of funny, but also like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting them to argue with each other so much. But yeah, I think that's about it for what I think of the book. It was definitely a lot more different than I expected, and the audio narrator, I think she did a pretty good job. I'm not sure when the audiobook was originally. Let me check my story graph, because it just tells me, okay, this was, wow, that's, I didn't know audiobooks existed far back as 2008, but this audiobook was published December 5th, 2008 by Recorded Books. That is the publisher. Also, I was really thrown off by this this illustration, because I was just like, what is going on here? Because I was just like, why? I mean, of course, I don't think it was like inspired by the movie. I always think of Hal as the Hal from the Ghibli movie, and I was just like, why does the first thing I thought when I saw Calcifer, like, why does he look so yassified? I'm like, is that really Calcifer? That's yassified Calcifer. How? I think this is a pretty accurate iteration of what Hal looks like. I don't remember what kind of clothes he wears. I don't know if he actually wears like really dark clothes like that, but yeah, the details are failing me. My brain it's like foggy up in there for that kind of thing. But yeah, that's just my little opinion on the art. No offense to the artist, of course, but yes. Oh, I almost forgot to say my rating for this book. I gave it a 3.5, although I am mulling over whether I want to keep it at that rating. I might lower it, but we will see. Okay, let us move on to the next book. The third book that I read in February, right? Okay, I'm logged out, so I need to look at this through my story graph. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to just look at it through my app on my phone. Okay, yeah, I did. Why did I not think? I read this in February 21st. That's when I finished reading it. Beautiful cover. Unfortunately, it did not meet up to my expectations. Spoiler alert. I wrote some pretty extensive stuff regarding this book. So the third book I read is, sorry, I didn't even say the title, Woman Eating by Claire Coda. Now where the heck is the first part to this? Oh, I didn't even... Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, that is done. Let's see. What did I write? I wrote, disappointed because I've been looking forward to reading this for the longest time. Both plot and writing style were a slog to get through. I am not exaggerating when it took me such a long time to get through this book. And I didn't even read this book with my eyes. Like, I feel like that's saying something, because I was absolutely slogging through the audiobook. Oh my gosh, let me look at who the audiobook narrator is, because I need to give her due credit. Excuse me a moment. The audiobook narrator is Jane Louis. Yes. She did a pretty good job narrating. There was like one word that she would say, I think it was like whenever the narrator said yeah, I don't know why, the way that she says yeah really pissed me off for some reason. And I don't want to like blame her or anything, because she has a very lovely voice, and overall, except for that, I think she did a lovely job narrating the book. It was just whenever she said yeah, it would just, I don't know why, it just like lit like a negative flame in me, and I was like, ugh, why are you saying it like that? But yeah, let's get back on track on my thoughts. Protag, what the heck was her name? I forgot so much about this. Lydia? Yes, Lydia. Lydia was utterly insufferable, of course. There are valid reasons as to her insufferability, but it was awful being in her head the whole time. It was, I think, because... Oh my gosh, my ear. Because she's like really, you're like really inside her mind when you read this book, and it's like going through molasses. It's like going through, like wading through mud. It was really unenjoyable. There were a lot of interesting conversations that were opened up in the beginning of the book, but I think there were only one or two conversations that were really like, you really like get a sense of what the author is trying to say. There's a lot of things that are conveyed throughout this book, but I think only one or two get like, I'm not expecting, of course, I'm not expecting every book to be like this, but I feel like with this kind of book, I feel like there should be some sort of tie-up at the end. It doesn't have to be tied up in a neat little bow. I just want like it can be messy, it can be even unorganized in an interesting fashion. I just kind of wanted something to have like a more concrete sort of conclusion, is what I'm trying to say. What else? Definitely one of the more interesting concepts for a modern day vampire. That's definitely one of the positives that I have to say about this book. I like the way vampires are portrayed in this book. Holy cow, the relationship slash situationship was an utter mess. I understand the need for it, but I did not like it. If I had to be completely honest, I wished it just wasn't there. It felt like it didn't need to be there, in my opinion at least. One other thing I enjoyed was the connection to food in Lydia's vampirism, and how it made her feel estranged from her father. Her identity as being half Japanese, and her overall longing to the cultural ties that reminded her of her father as well. That was something that was really interesting, and I really enjoyed the conversation with that. Puppet segment was also another favorite part. I love puppets. I love anything that has to do with puppets. Puppets are like a special interest of mine. And also, it's another piece of symbolism that alludes to Lydia's mixed identity and how others others perceive her. Outside of her perspective that we're following, we kind of get like a glimpse of how other people perceive her, which is interesting. One thing I have a really big gripe about was I wish there were more interactions with Lydia and her mother, as the conversation with their tenuous relationship does not end in a satisfying way. Although, contrarily, on the other hand, I understand why this is portrayed this way, because this can be a reflection of, in real life, familial relationships as well. So I understand why there might not have been so much appearances of her mother in the book, but at the same time, I just wish there was more, because you would think, since this book has such heavy themes of identity, cultural, feeling alienated by your background, your cultural background, as in Lydia's case here, she is half Japanese and half Malaysian, and I wish there was more conversation with that, because there wasn't that much. There was like I said, it would start, the conversation would be introduced, but then it would just go absolutely nowhere, which was so mind-boggling to me. I was just like, and I was just really disappointed by that, because I was really looking forward to seeing more of what Lydia experienced, more of her experience being as she is described in the official description, a young mixed-race vampire. And we don't get too much of that. We do get some interesting insights on her thoughts and feelings about food, and how that is like a really great way to tie back to one's culture. excuse me for a second. Okay, I am back. I'm kind of glad that I muted for a moment because there was a person that decided to obnoxiously rev up their motorcycle near where I live. So glad I didn't have to have that included within the audio and for the stream. Okay, where was I? Alright, I think this is the next one? Yes. It was written in a passive voice, which I usually don't mind. I don't really have a preference towards books that are written passively or more an active voice. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Not only did I have to burp, but another motorcycle revved up in the background. Great. Continuing on with what I was saying about the passive and active voice. I like both. I think if you use them not properly, that sounds so obnoxious. It's how the writer, the author, utilizes passive or active voice, which makes the storytelling interesting. But unfortunately I feel like the passive voice that was used here it just added more to the insufferability of Lydia. But I understand why it was used, because it's to portray how helpless and not in control Lydia is when it comes to her own life. So I understand why the author used a passive voice for this book, but yeah, I still didn't like it. Let's see. Oh, and also I wrote and the state of her being a vampire in the first place, because her mom basically, of course, was the one that converted her into becoming a vampire in the first place as well. Lydia does have gained a little bit of a more stronger independent voice by the end of the book, although the path that leads her to that newfound independence is not really achieved through a lot of fanfare, although that is true to real life. This is a very it's like very much set in the real world, minus the magical inclusion of vampires. But even the way vampires are portrayed in this book, it feels very realistic as well. So I understand that. Also, I liked another thing about the... Oh, my arm is itchy. About the vampire theme. I also really like that the author subverted the trope of the vampire being an all-powerful, omniscient figure that has complete control of their meals, life, etc. This is shown many times with how much of a mess Lydia's current life is like how much we follow her from the beginning to the end of the book, and then we can kind of make some pretty I guess open assumptions to what she does once the pages end too. The puppet is also yet another detail of this aspect, which I already talked about a little bit earlier. I think I had one more thing. I think I talked a little bit more about the puppet part. That was definitely one of my favorite parts. Or maybe I do not. Let's see. I guess that's it, yeah. Trying to remember more of the puppet segment. The museum, like the museum arc. Her internship slash museum arc. There was also definitely an interesting conversation that I like this one because it's kind of one where the reader, it makes you think. So it's kind of like a conversation that makes you think. So I didn't really mind. There was not much of a, there was like a conclusion, of course, but like a lot of it was written in a way that gets you thinking. It's like the kind of conversation that makes you think and introspect a lot, because it has to do with how women are not taken seriously within the art world. Specifically here, like museum curation, I think, is what Lydia is interested in, if I remember correctly. And also the terrible harassment that female workers face when they're not in positions of power, which was definitely uncomfortable, but also realistic to real life as well. That is the few ways that it was portrayed in the book was definitely true to real life. Unfortunately, a lot of women definitely face this issue within workplaces, even outside of the art world as well. I think it's something that happens in pretty much all sorts of workplaces, unfortunately. So it's definitely something to sit and think about what could possibly, maybe not what, because there isn't really a clear solution that is given, because the solution that happens within the pages within this book is more of a magical sort of caliber. So I think it's just something, oh my gosh, excuse me. It's something it's something I would say that the author probably, I don't want to like put words in her mouth, of course, but probably intended for readers to just chew and think about, basically. Yeah, I usually really enjoy reading these kinds of books because of my identity as well. I like reading things that have to do specifically with like Asian identities, because that is part of my identity as well. And I love reading all of the different kinds of ways the subject of identity and the concept of wanting to fit in but not really fitting in anywhere, and not, because of not being able to fit in, you're not really in, what is it? Sorry. Let me gather my thoughts. You don't feel like you belong anywhere, basically. And there's like the concepts and themes of isolation and alienation that get discussed in these books, which I can personally relate to a lot. But I'm just disappointed. I wish the author went more deeply into those subjects and the themes that often go along with it, because I think the author herself is mixed race as well, so this is definitely a very personal work that she wrote, and I can understand people resonating with it. Unfortunately, I did not, but I can see on the other side of the coin people relating to this book, which is good. But unfortunately, it did not do that for me. So, oh, I forgot the puppet part. I'm just going on a little bit of a tangent, sort of. I think the puppet was like Baba Yaga, the fictional character of Baba Yaga, and then there was like an interesting thing where the book says, oh my gosh, excuse me. Where the book says there's some interpretations that Baba Yaga she could be interpreted as a vampire herself, which is why Lydia relates to the puppet, and also she kind of refers the puppet as being herself in a way, which was interesting. But yeah, that is about what I have for that book. I gave it just 3 stars, a solid 3 stars. So yeah, I feel I am quite glad I decided to hold off and not purchase a physical copy of this book because of how I didn't enjoy it for most of the time. Of course, there were some positive things I enjoyed as well. I'm unsure of possibly following more of this author's works, but we'll see. If there's any news of what her second work will be, I will think about it, because I think there's some nuggets that I could possibly like in a future work of hers, but for now I think I'll hold off on this author and her works for now. I really this is one of my favorite covers. Like I think this is I like the trend of, I think it's, yeah, it is labeled, let me see. At certain points it's labeled horror, although I feel like thriller is probably more of an accurate description genre for this. But like more like books of a more darker theme, usually related to horror, sometimes they get this Renaissance like Baroque style painting like art style implemented on the cover, which I really like. I'm glad this is becoming like a trend. I want it to keep continuing because I think art from that particular era or eras, I unfortunately, sorry, I'm not an art expert, so forgive me if it's only one era or multiple couple eras, but yeah, I want this cover art trend to continue and see what like kinds of like unique interpretations or iterations can be made for the art depending on what the book is about, basically. And I think it's interesting that the background is usually a very solid black background too, but I think it does definitely give off like the correct vibe of like an ominous or super serious vibe to a book. So I think that's pretty accurate too. Anyway, let us continue on with the next book. Wait, did I? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think I might have forgotten to put... Uh-oh. How did I forget? Oh boy. Well, we will just do it on the fly because apparently I forgot to put... Okay, I'll just I thought for sure I put it in the images, the book images. Get your minds out of the gutter. Okay. Let me do that real quick. Sorry about that. Okay. Ooh. Should I? I mean, yeah, you could see it on my story graph, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll put in the others too. Okay, give me a little bit of time, please. Okay, good. At least I saved. I guess I saved it to the other accident. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Yeah. Is this? Yes, but I already have that. Okay. Cool. Everything is in order. Ooh. I feel kind of hungry. I should eat something soon. Okay. The next book. Is this in March? Are we in March now? Yes, I finished reading Small Angels in March 18th. Okay, this one. Actually, let me open my Libby app because I listened to the audiobook. And I don't remember there were multiple narrators, so wait, that's not the audiobook. Alright, here we go. Alrighty. I read Small Angels by Lauren Owen, and I listened to the audiobook, so there are four narrators that read this book. Daphne Coma Tamsin Kennard, Rebecca Lee, and Eleanor Yates. I think unfortunately there was only one narrator whose voice was, in my opinion, it took me a little bit to differentiate the voices, but maybe it's also because all of them were British as well, so they kind of melded together at some points for me. But the grandma's voice was pretty distinct, and I think when I listened between the perspectives of, oh my gosh, I forgot her name already. Lucia and Chloe? No. Kate. Lucia and Kate's perspectives. I guess it was just one person. I don't remember what her name was. Chloe, I think. That took me a little bit to differentiate between the other narrators. So maybe I was wrong. I mean, they were all young ladies, ladies who are in their 20s. No, 30s, 20s or late 20s, 30s, something like that. Oh my gosh, I forgot to read out a description of all the books so far. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Okay. Strange Weather in Tokyo, from my own words, is about a 38-year-old woman named Tsukiko who what is that word? Oh my gosh. Reunites with her former high school teacher, and they go drink and eat at their favorite local bar, and it's about the progress of the relationship through this short book. Very slice of life, and only a very small smidgen of magical realism. Next book, Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is about our main protag, Sophie Hatter? Sophie? And she runs her family's hat shop, and she then gets mixed up with a local wizard named Howl, and the subsequent adventures and shenanigans they get up to at his moving castle, basically. And we also, what is it? What's the little apprentice? I forgot his name, but he's involved. He's of Howl, working for him and stuff and learning. And the Witch of the Waste is a pretty big character and antagonist within the novel as well. Yeah, very pretty cozy, witty, and sometimes funny book. It does have a very much sort of fairy tale-esque vibe to it, and sometimes subverts certain tropes in interesting ways for that time, at least. Woman Eating is a book about a young 20-something-year-old mixed-race vampire named Lydia, and it's about how she navigates through life, basically, and how it's her first time living on her own. So she like lives at like an artist, like a communal artist apartment building, and she needs to navigate her life as both a human and a vampire, and to also find ways to sustain herself, because it was always her mother who procured the blood for the two of them, and now that she's on her own, she needs to learn how to figure out how to procure blood to feed and sustain herself, and also the trials and tribulations of her daily life, working as an intern at a museum within the city that she's living in, and also has heavy themes and ties to cultural identity, feeling out of place, alienated, and just not belonging to pretty much both personally to Lydia's national identities, which is being half Japanese and half Malaysian. So that's something that she grapples and tries to deal with throughout the story, and also her interesting relationship with food, which she can't consume as she's a vampire, and also the interesting intersecting relationships she has with the other tenants in her apartment building, and also a guy that she gets involved with throughout the book, which I forgot to talk more about. I didn't like that relationship, yeah. And that's all I'll say about that. I think I did say that before. I thought it was, pretty pointless. And he was kind of trash. Yeah, he was a trashy, kind of a trash individual for something that he does. But I guess that kind of makes Lydia sort of scummy too in her own right. But yeah, to each their own. That's what I think of them. I think some people have similar opinions to how I feel with both Lydia and the guy. I don't even remember his name anymore. But yeah, anyways, did I get caught up? Yes. Now I can finally talk about Small Angels. Sorry. Okay. Small Angels is it the? I already forgot. It's the town. The town. No. The town is called Mock Beggar. Well, there's a forest that's called Mock Beggar Woods. The church that is located in the small town is called Small Angels, which is what the story is named after. And it's about the three sisters that live in like a small remote home, and their family legacy ties them to the forest and the entity that resides within it, and how they have to be the ones to solely calm and tame the entity, basically. It wants to I will say it wants to be folk horror, and I guess in a way it is, but it did not do it for me, unfortunately. Let me try to find my notes. Oh, here it is. Yes, I said also an incredible slog to get through. Took me practically almost a whole month to finish, and this was also by audiobook as well, so that is also another telltale sign of what my final verdict for this book will be too. It is very slow. Backstory and flashbacks of Lucia's family were interesting at first, but were also super slow to get through. I will say that it all makes sense by the end, so I think it's sort of worth it, halfway-ish. I think this is probably my first dip into at least a traditionally published work that is within the subgenre of folk horror, and I am disappointed, unfortunately. I feel I would like to get into more folk horror. I feel like it's a subgenre of horror that I would really enjoy, but this was probably not the greatest intro into getting into the subgenre as a whole. I really did not care about the characters by the end. Maybe except for Kate, but even then I kind of didn't care about her either by the end of it all. The story is set in a small English village. It explores themes of generational trauma, guilt, self-sabotage, self-blame, familial bonds, family, and family themes in general. Two main couples, one straight, one sapphic. Both were boring. I can't believe I'm saying this because I feel like the hetero couple is probably a little bit more interesting than the sapphic couple, which makes me super sad because I was really excited to read this because I was excited to see what the sapphic couple would be. But it was really, really boring. It was really... Their dynamics were so boring, and I'm really sad to say that because I feel like, unfortunately, that is... Even outside the horror genre, I feel like... I'm not sure why, but certain, like, specifically female couples within, like, traditionally, I'm speaking for traditionally published books. like getting published within like the big four or another big publishing company. Like the WLW slash sapphic and or lesbian relationships in these books are really lackluster, which is super sad to me. I don't know why. I don't know why that is the case. It's like a weird... I think this was also talked about by another booktuber who also who specifically made a book, not a book, oh my god, a video about this subject too, and they're sapphic as well, so that's they are well versed in the subject is what I'm trying to say. I don't remember their handle. I'll try to find them if I can. But yeah. I generally want to read more sapphic and or lesbian led couples within books. So this is I hope I can find something that scratches that itch soon. Well, the last book I think kind of works in that, but it there's not a relationship that is involved. The main character herself, I think it's pretty, what is it? Excuse me. It's pretty obvious that she is bi, although of course it's not stated so explicitly within the text, but like you can just tell that she's bi, so that's cool. I love. She is the she is the messy bi-rep that I am pleased to see for the last book that I read in March. Yes, March. Oh my gosh, time is an illusion. But yeah, we must continue on talking about small angels. Yeah, unfortunately, the relationship, I guess this is sort of spoilers, but not. I don't. So some people view relationships as spoilers, but so I guess if you don't want to hear about the one relationship that is talked about in this book, you can hit the back arrow key. But but if you don't care, then that's what I'll be talking about right now. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. The relationship unfortunately with Lucia and Kate. I really was hoping it would be interesting for one, but their dynamics are totally bland and boring. That's pretty much all I will say. It's pretty much implied in the beginning, and then you kind of just know, and it's like, yeah, by the end they're like kind of a thing, but it's not like, of course, explicitly stated, so yeah, that's nice for them. Oh my god. But yeah, let me continue on. One who shoulders all the burdens. This is a section that I'll be getting into. Lucia's family, and then solely Lucia herself, her responsibility to bear. That's why I feel the characters are the most important part of moving a story forward, because like even though there was like a lot of like talk of you like there's a lot of like parts where you are like supposed to like empathize with the characters, but the weird thing is I just didn't care about them, and that's like a huge blunder. Like, I think the most important thing for me, in my opinion, this is my opinion of course, I think for a story to work, it's not the plot, it's the characters. If your audience, your readers don't care about your characters, then what's the point? Because the characters are the ones who move the story forward. Maybe not specifically the plot, if it's not like a plot heavy book, but like the characters are the thing that readers care about. You can have like the most well thought out and intricately designed and put together plot, but if your characters are boring, people are not going to stay. So like even if the plot is not so great but the characters themselves shine, the story will work, and the readers may stay even if they think that the plot is mediocre. Maybe they'll stay to see what will happen to the characters, and maybe the plot will get better because you would hope the author gets better each time they publish a new book. Like if it's a series and you would hope that their writing gets better, so hopefully the plot also gets better in turn, but you're staying for the characters. So it's important for you to write compelling and interesting / unique characters, or else you're just gonna lose out on your potential audience and readers. So I think that's probably the biggest problem that I have with Small Angels, is because the characters themselves are just really boring. Like, you get to know their backstories and their lore and everything, but you just, for me at least, in my opinion, I just did not care about them. Like basically in the middle of the story to the end, I just didn't care. I was just slogging through it. I was like, I just wanted to get this done. It was like clock. I was just like mechanically wanting to be done with this book. That's just how boring. That's unfortunately how boring I thought this book was. Where was I? Yeah, I talked about how both of the couples that you're supposed to be rooting for are boring too. The plot was meaningful, but the characters fell flat and do not give the feeling of the reader wanting to care about them. Like, is that it? I think I have another, or I don't. Okay, let me see. I have notes here, so maybe give me a few seconds to see if I wrote more down about Small Angels. Sorry for all the paper wrestling. I write my notes down on paper so I can. It helps me to get my thoughts down, and also it helps for me to like wing stuff off the top of my head when I don't finish writing my notes. For example, here, I swear I had another piece of paper where I talked more about Small Angels. The horror, at least the horror, I will say was fine. I kind of saw like the main antagonist as like throughout as you get introduced to him, I was kind of like, why? Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm just like, okay, boo-hoo. Yeah, he has a sad backstory, but I'm just like, then he was just annoying because he's just making everybody's lives like bad and worse in this small town, and I'm just kind of like, why? And then he just, and like the interest, like, not even interesting, why did I say that, but the relationship that he has with Lucia is something. Yeah, it's a weird relationship they have. It's not like romantic or anything. It's like a friendship of sorts, sort of twisted and messed up way. that was also boring. Sorry. But then I was just constantly thinking, like, why? Like, I mean, I kind of know why, but, like, at the same time, it's just kind of like a metaphorical, like, why? There were definitely some parts that were creepy. So that was good. That's something that this book kind of has going for it. It's like a very subtle sort of horror, scariness and creepiness to the story. But it just all fell flat in the end, and I was just like sitting back in my seat like, woo-wee, I'm glad I'm done with this book. So unfortunately, all the facets that made me interested in checking out this book in the first place just fell apart by the end, sadly. Like, the sapphic relationship that I was really excited to explore was boring. The plot was interesting on paper, but it did not keep my interest at all. And the characters were probably, I'm sorry for being super honest, but the characters were probably the worst part, because I just did not care about anything. Did not care about anyone by the end of all. So, yeah, this was to put it shortly, this was a disappointment for me, personally. So, I will not rag on this book any longer. I will probably not be checking out any more of this author's works, unfortunately. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. And I'm debating on whether I want to lower the rating too, because now that I'm talking about it, I have more, I'm realizing I have more negative things to say about it than positive, sadly. So I'll think about it a little bit more, and yeah, I might update my rating to being in the 2s. But we will see. Let us move on to the next book, which I gave a more higher rating to. It is Welcome to the Hyunam Dong Bookshop by, oh jeez, I should have looked up how to pronounce the author's name. I am very sorry if I butchered the author's name. The book was written by Hwang Borum. If I mispronounced her name, please correct me in the chat or the comments. And the translator is Shana Tan, and I listened to the audiobook, so the narrator for the audiobook is Rosa Escoda. Rosa Escoda, yeah. So this book is also no, the Small Angels was not a slice of life book. Small Angels is a horror book, and I would probably categorize it as folk horror for the subgenre. Yeah, it's like a dark and mystery sort of book. But yeah, we are done talking about that. Also, I forgot to put up. Okay, here's the cover. Here's the really cute cover of Welcome to the Hyunam Dong Bookshop. This book is a slice of life book about our protag named Yongju and her basically journey of opening up a bookshop and not abandoning per se, but leaving behind the previous lifestyle and workplace that she used to go to for work, and starting over from scratch and opening up her own small business, which is this bookshop, which she also names is the titular Hyunam-dong Bookshop. And we meet like a small cast of interesting characters, the barista that she hires to make coffee, and drinks within the bookshop. What's her... I only remember the name of the barista, and his name is Ming... I think it's Mingjun, because there's like a high school student character, and his name was Minchol. So sometimes in my head I got them confused because I think both their names start with Ming. I think the barista's name is Mingjun, yes. And the bean roaster lady, she's a pretty prominent character. Mingjul, no. Mingjul's mom, I forgot her name. I think it started with an H. There was a lady that crochets. Unfortunately, I don't remember her name. I don't have the audiobook on hand, so I can't check out their names, unfortunately. So I'll just refer to them as what they do in the story. And the author that Yongju interacts with later on in the story. This is also, I would have to say, I would compare it to like the vibes of also another book that I read, which is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. Although this book in particular, I would say it goes beyond just like the lives of the characters that are present in this book, and also dives, like, I need to look at my notes. A slice of life, yeah. A rotating cast of characters. Each character, no matter how small their role, gets their own deserved spotlight, which was very refreshing. Very refreshing to see portrayed in this book. What I was saying before, the book broadens past the characters and goes into the many philosophies of what exactly makes a fulfilling and happy life. So we get into like more of like a philosophical standpoint at times within the book, and it certainly delves into what kind of elements that, excuse me, let me get my thoughts together real quick. What people see as making your own life as fulfilling, and seek what particularly makes one person happy and another person happy. There are a bunch of notable conversations that are discussed, particularly of the stifling, cyclical nature of the office workforce and how some relationships must end for one to have a healthier, better life. This is a good book for book lovers, but also for those who feel a little lost and restless with life. There were multiple times I had an itch to get a caffeinated drink because of how the barista in the book made coffee sound so delicious. But right now I'm just drinking tea. He mainly makes caffeinated drinks. Actually, let me take a sip of my drink, because I feel like my throat is feeling a little dry. Okay, that's a little bit better. Alright, where was I? Yes. It's a book that makes you reflect on your own life and makes you think on what you may really want from it. What factors make a life good? What can you do to improve your quality of life? Alright. Is this my last? Huh, I thought I had more, but wait. Okay, I guess I will be winging it from that. But yeah, that's I think that is most the gist of this book. I really like Yongju, the protag, her character a lot. I also, yeah, almost all of the characters have a very endearing quality to them. They also feel very realistic. It feels like they all feel like someone you could possibly meet in real life as well, which I feel can be a difficult thing to portray at times. But because this is a slice of life book, that is definitely a very important quality that the author definitely nails. So I'm very pleased with that. Oh, she's caught up. The one other character is called Coffee Roaster. I called her Coffee Bean Roaster, which is not wrong. But yeah, I would definitely, this is definitely a book I would recommend for both book lovers and people who, like I said, feel a little bit lost in life, and it might help to reorientate you to thinking where your priorities lie within your own personal life, which I feel like is not something that is easy to do. I saw a review on this book where somebody said the philosophical topics that were discussed in the book were preachy. I definitely do not feel that way. I feel the author is just putting these ideas or concepts on the table, and you as the reader or audience member do what you wish with what she has talked about, basically. I definitely don't think this book was written in a preachy way. I think it was done to definitely inspire and make you ponder and think about life, basically. I definitely want to pick up a physical copy of this. This is one of the books I definitely want to pick a physical copy of, because I already forgot about some of the books that were talked about in this book. It's a book about books, basically. I think the only one that I remember that was mentioned is The Catcher in the Rye, and the other one, it was in my mind and I'm trying to grab at it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head currently, unfortunately. But yeah, there's some real life books that are talked about here, and also the fictional books that are, I think, written by the author, who is a prominent character later on in the book. I think he gets introduced in like the beginning, middle-ish of the book. So it talks about his works, and he's definitely an interesting character to follow and get to know in the book as well. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name, sadly. I only remember Yongju and Mingjun and Minchol. But yeah, Yongju is probably my most favorite character, of course, and thankfully so, because she is the main main character of this book. You can really relate to her. I think a lot of people can relate to her struggles and the hardships and shortcomings she has gone through. I personally do, and it's just nice to see the personal journey that she goes through to better herself and help herself to live a more, well, I've already said it a bunch of times, but a more healthy, happy, and fulfilling life. Yeah. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a nice slice of life book with cozy vibes, a book about books, and also some really nice topics regarding like philosophical and spiritual topics. Yep. Not much more else to say about that. So I will move on to the next book. Oh, I got scared. I thought I did not unmute myself. Oh, whew. Okay, we're good. Okay, the last book that I read in March is also one of my most anticipated books, and I am very happy to say that this was a win for me. And it is Diavola by Jennifer Thorne, and I read this through an audiobook, so the narrator is Andy Arndt. Yes, Andy Arndt. And I really need to go to the bathroom, so I will take a quick bathroom break, and I will be back very soon. Alrighty, I am back. Let us get into talking about Diavola. Oh boy, where are my notes? Okay, I found them. Oh. Okay, let me give a brief description of what the book is about. Diavola is about our protag Anna Pace, who is invited on a family vacation in the sleepy Italian town of Monteparso. Wait, did I say that right? Oh, no, Monteperso, They have booked to stay in a local villa whose haunted nature may just be the catalyst in unraveling the Pace family to a point of no return. So we follow Anna, who is a pretty messy female protag, but spoiler alert, not as messy as her family may want you to believe. Definitely an interesting take on the gothic genre, but maybe not to the point of it being a lot of like out of the box. It follows some of the beats in like traditional gothic stories, but it's not really doing anything that is particularly special or out there that would make it stand out within the gothic genre. But yeah, also I really love this cover. It's terrifying. This is a very terrifying cover, but it does follow the really cool trend of Renaissance or Baroque style portraits, portraiture arts. Oh my gosh, sorry. Hopefully that did not pick up, but my stomach just grumbled. Oh, it's pretty close to dinner for me over here where I live, so I will do my best to wrap up and get something to eat soon. But anyway, this is like the main antagonist of this story. What the heck do they? What do they call her? I don't remember what they call her, but they used an Italian title for her. I think the yeah, I don't remember, something with the word lady or maiden in the title. But this is her. Yeah, her warped face, and then you can vaguely see her like eyes looking at the viewer, and a pitch black background with no, it doesn't seem like there's any shadow. I mean, she is a ghost, so ghosts probably would not have a shadow, I think. Yeah, I would say it is 60% family drama and 60 to 70% family drama, and then 20 to 30% actual like gothic horror. But the family drama is very good, very almost to the point of painful portrayal of like a messy family. And they're all just against Anna, unfortunately, which is really sad. There was like a little like inkling in like thought in the back of my head that was like, is it even possible to have this kind of mindset to just blaming just one family member in a family? But like, that's how they're like trying to get you. The premise of this story is like gaslight, gatekeep, and girl boss, but take out gatekeep and just have gaslight, girl boss. It's so much gaslighting. There's so much gaslighting in this book. It's insane. It's just if like even like girl boss is like a small portrayal, like a small little aspect of the story. Like maybe you could even just take out girl boss and it would just be gaslight, because the Pace family just, oh my god, absolutely excels in gaslighting poor Anna. And like that is just so, it is just the disastrous nature of like the toxicity of the Pace family is just insane to explore in this book. Like, everyone is just messy in their own right, and it's not like, of course, I love a messy protag, especially a messy female protag is just one of my favorite kinds of characters to follow, basically. This is one kind of messy protag that I really, really enjoy following, and she's not even that bad. She's probably not as bad as like the protag in one of my other favorite books, The Writing Retreat. I think her name is Alex. I don't remember anymore. Maybe not as messy as her, but she is messy in her own right. But not as messy as her family would want you to believe, which I said earlier. And yeah, it's insane, basically. And like you have the whole circus. Like, you have the parents that just won't stop bringing up like the mess ups that you've done in the past, but it's like not even something that is like recent. It's like something that you did in the past that you messed up on like years ago, but they just won't stop talking about it, and they just keep on harping and saying that you're just the worst person, but in that kind of like parental way that is just like low-key antagonizing but also patronizing. And they say it in a playful way, which is even worse. That's what the parents are like. The mom is like sort of involved, and then the dad is like distant, like the annoying, distant, silent dad in like media. And then the aggravating, like commentary based mom. And Anna, I think Anna, oh my god, Anna, yeah, she's a twin. So, but they it's never discussed who is like the older twin. From the way that you see between the two twins, Anna and her brother, her twin brother Benny, I would like to clock her as like the older twin, because Benny just gives off annoying younger sibling vibes. So yeah, I would clock her as the older twin. And then she has an older sister who is just nuts. She is, in general, I think, I guess this is sort of minor spoilers, the whole family is like jealous, especially the way that she like lives her life. Oh boy, my stomach. Excuse me. They're all like pretty much low-key jealous of her, so they're constantly like picking at her and like negging her as well. But like, oh my god, the insidious ways that all of them like interact with Anna is just so, it just really grinds my gears. But it's like it's so realistically portrayed, and it makes me kind of suspect of the author, because she says it's not from her immediate family who acts this way, but it has to be maybe not her immediate family, but maybe like her extended family. This is probably very much inspired and influenced by some sort of dynamic she has shared within her own family, because it is way too real, the way that the dynamics of the Pace family are portrayed in this book. So maybe not her immediate family, but somebody's in her family in real life definitely inspired the making of this book, is what I will say. But I don't want to assume. I'm just speculating. The horror is sort of there. It's kind of, it is scary in its own way, but maybe not too. If you're looking for scares, this may not be the kind of horror that you would want to go for, but it works for me. I like it. I like the, excuse me, excuse me, oh my goodness. I like the way the creepiness and the unsettling elements are done in this book. Especially the way that I forgot her name. This lady's the cover. The lady in the cover is the way she haunts Anna and her family is very interesting. Not a super unique concept, but definitely the way it is portrayed in the book is I like it. I like the way that the haunting is portrayed. It's very done in a very interesting way. I like the way that the setting is described. It seems to be portrayed to be like a sleepy but relaxing Italian village, and then like it's shown to not be so. Like there's a lot of there's some dark secrets and skeletons within the closet that Anna discovers throughout the story. I'm trying not to get into spoiler territory. But yeah, and I will just say that Anna is truly the bigger person in this book, because if I were put in her place, I would probably not be so gracious with the way, especially with the way she handles things. I usually act as the bigger person in most scenarios within my life, but I would probably not be as much as the bigger person that Anna is, with the way things go about near the end of the story, is what I will say. That is all. I'll stop there, because if I continue, we will definitely be going into spoiler territory. But yes, if you are looking for a very messy, chaotic, disastrous portrayal of a family vacation and a somewhat messy protag, specifically a messy female protag, I think you'll enjoy following Anna. I liked being in her mind was, I don't want to say pleasant, because she's just going through it. She's going through so much, but it's definitely a much more tolerable place to be than, for example, Lydia's mindset from Woman Eating. If I may kind of unfairly compare, but Lydia herself is a pretty messy individual too. But I did not enjoy being in her head or following her perspective in that book. But yeah, it's if you enjoyed that and you enjoy gothic style books and a somewhat interesting, there's like while it may not be the most unique sort of gothic story, there is definitely a part that there is definitely an interesting subversion that happens as you reach the climax of the story, which is somewhat near the end of the book too. Not quite towards the end, but like in the process of the story ending is what I'll say. It's a very, I haven't seen it before in a gothic book, so I'll give the book that. But yeah, I am very pleased with this book. This was one of a bunch of books that is on my 2024 anticipated list, so I'm very happy with this. This is a win in my book for my, excuse me, Oh my god, my stomach is really grumbling right now. So I'll try to wrap it up as fast as I can. Where was I? This is a win for me for anticipated books for 2024 for me. So that makes me very happy. And this might be a horror book that you might enjoy if you like those things that I mentioned earlier for elements. So yeah, what did I give this book? A 4.75, but I am possibly considering lowering it to maybe 4.5, because not in terms of enjoyment. I really enjoyed this book. I also really enjoyed the way the narrator reads this book. I like her I like the snappy, sarcastic voice that she gives Anna. It definitely immerses you into the story much more. So I would definitely, in tandem, I would actually recommend reading this book through both audiobook and either ebook or a physical copy, because there's some really nice, I really like the writing style within this book as well. It's interesting to read a gothic book within a modern setting, so that's also something this book has that makes it stand out a little bit within the gothic genre. So yeah, it's definitely set in modern 21st century setting, so that's not usually something that is portrayed a lot. I think not a very common sight for gothic books, so that's a nice little thing. But yeah, I'm gonna think a little bit more, and not in terms of enjoyment. I think in terms of like uniqueness, it's not stand out. It kind of follows most of the usual beats for a traditional gothic story, minus the modern setting and whatnot, etc., etc. But yeah, that's just me. That's just my opinion. So I will sit on that for myself and see if I want to change it or not. Maybe I'll just keep it at the initial 4.75 that I have out of 5 stars. But yeah, what I will say is we will see. We will see. And yeah, not much in the media. I forgot, what is it, what did I call it? Let me see. I don't remember the name I have for this segment. Try to find it on this document. Where is it? I didn't delete it or anything. It should be here somewhere. Oh dear. Why? Oh, sorry. My voice cracked. Why do I not see it? Where the heck did I put it? Oh god. Oh man, why am I sweating so much? Oh boy. Okay. Oh, here it is. Jeez. Just kept skipping over it. Flash Capsule Roundabout, which is my little section where I talk about the media I've consumed outside of books. So anything that isn't book related. This will be super short. I haven't caught up to the Magnus Protocol, which is kind of the thing that I mostly talk about in this section. But in terms of music, off the top of my head, I have been looping Lady Gaga's Heavy Metal Lover, her song Heavy Metal Lover, so much. At first I was like, this song doesn't hit as much as some of her older songs, but I was like, I've been looping it so much, so it's definitely hitting a lot more than I initially thought. So that's the song that I have been listening to mostly this past week. What else have I been listening to? I'm gonna look at my Spotify really quick. It's like a couple other songs. Infatuation and What Love from the band I don't know how, but they found me from their latest album, Gloom Division. I don't know, I just really like those songs. I think I'm too hungry to explain why I like them so much, so maybe I'll explain in another stream in the future. Let's see. Let's see. From my top songs of 2023, I'm looping After Dark by Mr. Kitty, and what else? And like some, just pretty much almost all of the tracks from the Shadowbringers album from Final Fantasy 14, FF14, because there's so many great bangers from that album. What I've been listening, just the Shadowbringers theme, which is just called Shadowbringers, and also another song that is related, album that is related to Shadowbringers, which is labeled Death Unto Dawn, and I just love the song. Where is it? To the Edge. And that is about it. I need to step up my game for watching movies. I just don't have time for it. I've been super busy with my work, my day job, so I haven't had a lot of time to continue enjoying the media that I usually enjoy. I mostly, during the week, I either listen to my podcasts, listening to music when I can, listening to audiobooks, and watching YouTube, which is basically like a combination of cooking videos, VTubers I follow, booktubers I follow, and just other YouTubers that I've subscribed to over the ages, that I've been following for a while. That's kind of my media rotation for my day-to-day life. But yeah, thank you for watching, for those who are here, and a quick overview of all the books that I've read. Not a great reading month for both February and March. A little bit better in March, but not by much. I want to read more. My average for reading books is usually 3 books. I want to read more books. I want to hit the 4 to 6 book range, but we will see. I'm quite busy. I'm in like a transitional period at my day job, so a little bit trying to get my footing stable and proper in that. Trying not to say too much on that. I want to keep the details of my work life private for the most part. But yeah, that's on that. there were some wins towards the end of March. Welcome to the Hyunam-dong bookshop and Diavola. Pretty good wins. Hoping to have some more wins for books. Hoping to have more 4 or 5 star reads in the month of April and beyond. But we will see. I'm trying to work on more videos for this month, but as of saying just a bit ago, trying to get my feet steady for my job, so we will see on that. But I'm hoping to possibly get some videos done for this month. I'm shooting for 2. I think that's a realistic outlook for that. But we will see. Hopefully some more streams for this month as well. More book related streams, I'm hoping, and a couple or few gaming streams. We'll see. I might do a gaming stream today, a gorilla, but we will see. My throat is getting a little bit wonky and in need of more hydration, so we'll see how my throat fares. If not, I will probably do something tomorrow, maybe, but we will see. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. But anyway, thank you for those who decided to drop by and hear about my thoughts on all these books. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and upcoming weekend. And great rest of your day, night, wherever you may be, day or night, wherever you may be in this big, big world. Hopefully the audio is not catching because my neighbors are out on their deck currently, so hopefully it's not picking up. I'll look at the VOD later and see. Hopefully not though. But oh my goodness. Jeez. But yeah. Yeah, we will see. As always, please check out my socials if you want to follow me on other places besides YouTube. I'm most active on Twitter, so that would probably be the best place to follow me for immediate updates. But as always, I will cross-post important announcements and stuff on my YouTube community page as well. And if you want to follow my reading journey, specifically, you can follow me on my story graph. But yeah, all links to my current socials are in the description below. I should probably update and also put my card, which is like the latest thing, which is just like a master post hub of my rules and guidelines. I made a post about it on community pages as well, which is my rules and guidelines, the types of works that will be featured on this channel, my current lore, credits, and links to all my current socials as well. But yeah, I am sorry, I am blanking on my outro. I think I'm just way too hungry. My brain is just going. My brain is just short-circuiting right now. Oh yes. This is Eureka Forsyth. This is Audio Unit, Eureka Forsyth, signing off. Bye-bye!